Good afternoon. I'm Tanner McDonald. I'm the president of XXX Construction. First, I want to thank Esther Talbert for inviting me here to be a speaker today. I get to present the residential building construction portion of the program. So first, a little bit about me. I was born and raised here in the Verde Valley. I currently serve as a full-time firefighter paramedic in Camp Verde since 2009. I have followed in the footsteps of my grandfather and my father. I've been in construction my whole life. I started my own company, XXX Construction, in 2005. Since then, my wife Jennifer and I have been a great team designing and building custom homes. Our team doubled in 2006 with the birth of twin daughters, Tatum and Taylor. And then in 2016, I became a licensed HERS rater. So as I said before, I work as a firefighter paramedic, and on a daily basis, I run calls on patients that have respiratory issues. And I get to see the effects of poor building construction affecting their daily lives. That's what got me started in doing the Energy Star Healthy homes. So this is what we're trying to go away from, a poor living environment, feel like we're throwing money away. So this is where the path to zero starts. That's what I'm calling my presentation here, is the path to zero. And this is where it starts. You're going to be meeting with your architect, you're going to be meeting with your builder, you're going to be meeting with your HERS rater, and you're going to be sitting down and making sure that that house is orientated on the property to where you have the less negative effects from the environment around. And then you're going to be taking in consideration window locations. It doesn't mean you can't put that window where the good, nice view is. Maybe you end up putting a eyebrow over it or an overhang or something to lessen the effects of that sun hitting that window on a daily basis. Quite a few other things are going to go in here too. What kind of services do we have in the area? And what's going to be the most cost effective to be heating water or heating the home and that sort of thing. Because we all know we don't have natural gas everywhere, propane in certain areas, and things of that nature will be taken in consideration. So after we started the planning process, we're going to take a look at the Energy Star requirements. I put this up here because you can see the United States is broken up into multiple zones. And then it even gets more detailed. Arizona's broken down into multiple zones also. We're actually in zone 4 and 5, which is both heating and cooling. And you can go on their website. I put the website down here on the bottom. That way you can actually go to their website and see the requirements for your zone to make sure that you're meeting those or exceeding those. Then you can do the same thing for the Zero Energy Ready. So you can see the first one is actually Energy Star. So that's the start to getting to your path to zero. And the next one's the envelope, building envelope, keeping your duct system in the controlled airspace. All that stuff we'll go over during the course of this presentation. But you get the idea. You're going to go to the website, and they will have the guidelines for it. So the next thing is the Clean Air Plus. As Sam was talking about, you got to make sure that the house is actually neutralized with the air intake and not building humidity in there. And so the things we're going to try to eliminate during the building construction, we want to eliminate the biological agents, the mold, the pollen, these things out of the home when you're living there. And then the chemical agents, the VOCs, the formaldehydes, they're in building products that we use or have used for years. So we're going to be buying materials that have a green label on them, and we're going to try to lessen those during the course of the construction. So this right here is a good example of your energy ventilation recovery system. So this on the lower left is actually similar to what they look like. You're going to have fresh air coming in. It's going to be put into your heating and cooling ductwork and dispersed out through the house. And you're going to be able to pull the stagnant air from inside the house and exhaust it back out. You also take a look at the top up here. You can see that all this is in the attic space and controlled. So now that we've went and met all these guidelines, we're going to have to pick a renewable energy source. So here in Arizona, it's easy to figure out that the most cost effective is probably going to be using solar panels. That's the most common here. But we also, the geothermal stuff, I have built homes with geothermal, so you're going to be using the Earth's temperature to try to use it as a starting point for your HVAC system. So the Earth's temperature is typically around 57 degrees here in our area, and so using that as a starting point instead of the exterior temperatures. That can get a lot more expensive. So now we're starting our envelope. We're building the envelope for this home. So we're going to start out by insulating the stem walls. You see how this stem wall here is all insulated. Concrete is a very good conductor, so we want to make sure that we're insulating the outside environment from the inside environment. And the picture here also shows a good example. The insulation now is on the inside of the stem wall, and it also goes along the bottom of the concrete. So we're insulating it underneath the slab also. And in the picture over here to the left, it's actually, this is the way we've framed for years, and we have studs lined up, which will transfer the temperature from inside to outside. This is how we're doing it now with the Energy Star home, is we're leaving this air cavity here where we can insulate and stop that conduction between the two. The same thing here. Typically on the outside, this is sheeted with a piece of OSB or plywood, which we can't get that insulation back into that cavity. So we end up doing what they call ladder backing on the framing, which gives us area here that we can get the insulation and not have that break in the exterior wall cavity. So the next portion here, it shows the seal. We need to seal that framing down to the concrete. So traditionally we've always used what they call seal, which is foam that compresses between the wood and the concrete. We still use that, but we can also caulk it. We need to caulk that concrete down to the wood to make sure we're eliminating any holes that possibly could be in this structure. You can be caulking the top plates together, caulking all the exterior wood joints. So as mentioned, like we mentioned earlier, we need to have our windows and doors also having low E glass. They need to have a frame on them that's non-conductive. So it's going to end up being either a vinyl product or a composite product, or we can still use clad, which would be aluminum on the outside and a wood on the inside. That has a thermal break in the middle, so we're not transferring that temperature through the exterior frame. Now this picture here, what I want to really pay attention to is the windows and also the taping of every seam. So in this vapor barrier, we've not only caulked these windows in, they're sealed in by caulking, we've also taped them in and sealed them off on all the doors, all the penetrations. We've taped and sealed every part of this vapor barrier. And this is different because usually they used to just overlap it to make sure that the water or vapor couldn't seep back up. They figured moisture would always go down. So now they're all sealed 100%. So the next thing we can eliminate, or try to eliminate, is roof penetrations. So just like in this bottom picture here, you got 3 plumbing vents sticking out in pretty close proximity. Typically those could be put together and have one vent coming out of the roof. So that one could be made, those 3 could be made into one. These are dormer vents up on top. Those would be eliminated in this process. Down here you got dormer vents, you got a whirlybird, and that's actually got a ridge vent also on it. All of that would be eliminated in the process. This is what the roof should be looking like. So the next portion of it is going to be insulating it. We've already built the shell, we've sealed the shell off, now we're going to insulate it. The typical way of insulation was using batt insulation in all your exterior walls, and using blown-in insulation or batt insulation right on top of your drywall. And what I really would like you to see is, you see the air void that's above and below the electrical box. This is very common. Typically when they're installing this, they shove it in there and there's an air void left. A story that when I went and took my classes to get my rater, the instructor told me, he says, hey, you guys, you've always seen cobwebs around can lights hanging from a chandelier or around an electrical box. And the reason being is there's a draft being pulled by there. That spider built his web there because there's a small draft. We might not be able to fill it with our hand, but there's a small enough draft to be pulling insects past that area, and that's the reason why that spider web's there. So one more thing to take in mind here with this is the ductwork. You see how the ductwork is on top of the blown-in insulation. Over here is how we want to do it. We're foaming it in. It's 100% solid. There's no air cavities. There's no place for it to leak. And then over here we're foaming up on the top of the rafters. And all of our ductwork and everything is in the controlled airspace. So this is a good example of the benefit we're going to get from doing that. This says it's a 90-degree day, typical 90-degree day. That's mild for Arizona. In this attic space, it's 145 degrees. So this is how we've always built. We've ventilated the attic space. Our heating and cooling unit's been put in the attic space. Our ductwork's running in that attic space. So we're trying to get our house down to 75, 78. I mean, everybody changes, but let's say 75. And it's got to fight 145 degree temperature on a 90-degree day to get you 75 degrees. Not only is it fighting that temperature, your ductwork is going to get 145 degree air inside that duct. And so once that AC unit kicks on, it's going to blow that hot air that's inside that ductwork into your home before you even feel the effect of the AC kicking on. This is how we're doing it. We're insulating the roof line. This HVAC unit is inside the airspace. You see it says semi-controlled. Attic space is not going to be the same temperatures inside your home, but it's pretty close. We're 10 degrees. So it's starting off at 10 degrees from where you want it to be. We're going to benefit from that right off the bat. So the next slide here is we've built the envelope, we put everything in the controlled airspace. We need to make sure that we're using Energy Star stuff. We're going to be using LED lights. We're going to be making sure we're buying Energy Star appliances. We got an on-demand gas hot water heater in the middle. So we're not heating water all day long when we're not home. It's only heating the water we're using. We're also putting a timer on a recirc pump. So it's only kicking on at certain points of time in the day. That way we have instant hot water at the furthest point in the house. You're not wasting the water that was in your pipe, running it down your sink to get the hot water at that far sink. So we have smart switches. These switches can be controlled off Wi-Fi. You can read them on your phone now. Have them where they're motion sensors. You can have them where you can turn them off and on if you think you forgot. Look at your phone when you leave. You can turn them off, make sure the lights are off. They might be on timers. You see the smart thermostat. These thermostats now will actually program to learn you after a certain period of time. If you forget to program it, it'll actually learn you. If you leave at 7 o'clock in the morning every day and turn it down, the day you forget, it doesn't. So then the hot water heater I put on here, this is a new hybrid electric hot water heater. They just come out with these, well, that I've seen in the last 6 months. They have a heat exchanger on the top, and it's actually pulling hot air through it, and it's heating the water before it goes into your tank, spitting out cold air out the other side. They're supposed to be 3 times more efficient than a normal electric hot water heater. We'll have to see for sure. They've only been out 6 months. The HVAC unit. We need to make sure we're doing 95% efficient units. Maybe multiple stages depending on how big the home is. Multiple zones. That way we're not using all 4 tons possibly to heat and cool at a time of day that we don't need to. It only kicks on and uses 2 tons. So after all this is done, now it comes back into the rater coming back. He's going to test this home for everything that we've figured that we did correctly. He's going to make sure and he's going to confirm it. So he's going to do a blower door test, which is pulling negative air against the house to see how much air we can actually leak through the walls, through the windows, through any open voids at all. It's rated in pascals. They're also going to do a ductwork test. They're going to pull against the ducts and see how tight they are and if they're leaking. The other thing that they're going to do is they're going to make sure every room in the house is equalized. You plan for it to be equalized and you have enough discharge and enough return in every area. They're going to test every room to make sure that that is the case. And I'm sure people have been in their home, have heard friends or somebody talk about that room. You just can't get hot or you just can't get cold. You're trying to eliminate that. So little facts. So this is the HERS rating. This is based on a 2,000 square foot home. And you see how, you know, this is going to be older homes. But Energy Star starts at 85. So like I said before, Energy Star is a start on your way to the path to zero. So if you've done everything right and correctly, you should be somewhere around this 50 mark before you use your renewable end source. So before you use that renewable energy source, you're going to be somewhere in this area. And I put this top one on here because this is the average for the code-built home today. Would be 94. If you did everything to code, it'd be somewhere around 94 on the HERS rating. And these numbers came off of your rater looking at the orientation, how many windows, what windows were put in, what's the U factor of the window, your HVAC unit, everything, your utility bills that are in the area. They're looking at everything for that exact location to give you this number. So if you were going to do just Energy Star over that code-built home, you'd expect on construction cost, this is just construction cost, to cost you about 6 to 8% over doing the code-built home. If you're going to do a zero energy home, it should be somewhere around 12 to 15%. All this is depending on area, depending on the home. So you can see you have some upfront cost for building construction this way, but this is what it gives you. It gives you comfort, it gives you low monthly bills, and a healthy environment. So thank you guys for the time. I know Esther has set